All right, in this next part right here, we are going to learn how to represent direct proportion graphically. So what we're going to do is we're going to just write the title here as graph direct proportions. Let me use this color instead. Or graphing direct proportions. So a lot of this could be found in the chapter book. We're going to take a look at the first example actually that they use. I think it's a fairly decent example, and it does use something like revolutions. So let's write this first. So we're going to start with a little intro to this. We're going to say that proportions can be represented through graphs. All right, remember that we are focusing on direct proportions, but here I did mention proportions, which means it doesn't have to be direct. It could be some kind of lopsided scale. But let's take a look at a table here, and we're just going to copy the one that is found in the book. So you could go ahead and do that. It's about a wheel, so a unicycle. So we're going to have revolution. Revolution in this case means how many times it spins, and we'll have a distance. As you could probably guess, or like just imagine, you know that I'm going to use letter P and Q actually, but you know that wheels, they're pretty consistent. I mean, if one spin goes a certain distance, then another spin goes, like two spins go twice that distance, and so on. So here we do have this where there is one revolution, it could go about 2 meters. And then when it goes 2 revolutions, it could go 4 meters, and 3 leads up to 6. So now what we are going to do is we're going to try to graph this out, and we're just going to do a quick sketch of a graph here. So we don't have to make it extremely neat. Some of the principles here do apply. So for graphs, just kind of follow along. You're going to do the arrows on the axis. Well, you're going to have the x and y axis. Then you're going to do the arrows there. And then we can do some basic labeling. I think what we will do is we'll just have, I'm just going to use this space here, but let's have, try to fit 6 lines, 3, 4, 5, 6, similar to what the book has there. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well. And so here we could write the numbers down. So I know that we didn't use the X and Y, but you could imagine how P and Q are correlated to that. So this right here will be the letter P, and then this right here will be the letter Q. Generally, we'll try to use X and Y's as well, so please be ready for that. I'm using P and Q just because that's what we've been using last time, so hopefully we have a better understanding of this. So now, assuming that the lines are somewhat evened out, what you will notice is if you go from 1 to 1, or for 1 revolution is going to lead up to 2 meters there, 2 is going to lead up to 4, so I'm going to just make sure that's aligned, and 3 is going to lead up to 6. And as you can see, and 0 being 0, you could see that this leads in a straight line, somewhat a straight line. I know mine isn't the perfect one right now because I'm not using a ruler for this. So if you do have a ruler, it might be worth your time to use that real quick. And you could definitely graph these ones nicely. But you could see, though, that it does have a straight line. So this is a key thing that you're going to have to keep in mind. A proportion can be represented through graphs, but a direct proportion have straight lines. So keep this in mind. This is a very important fact right here make sure that you have this listed. So a direct proportion has straight lines. Now, what do I mean by that? Now we're going to draw a few sketches of some graphs, and you're going to actually see this one in the try for number, let's see, I'm going to try to get you to do one of these. The try in page 301. So we're going to get into that in a second here, but what I want you to write down is, let's just write down some sample graphs or sample graphs. And in these sample graphs, I'm just going to show you a few graphs. So this one you could just sketch. Let's keep the lines here. Let's have P and Q, and we're going to draw something like this. Right, so one straight line right there. Then we're going to draw another graph. So there's like generally a few types of graphs here. Q on the top, P on the side there. But this time we're going to have it go up, but it's going to go in a curve like that. Okay. So now this one has a curve. And then the other one is one where you do have a straight line, but this time it goes downwards. And the last one here is, I don't know if you guys could guess this one, but it is gonna be a graph that lops down right there. All right, you're gonna try to take a look at this and say which one is the direct proportion. Are there multiple, or what's the deal here? Now, in general, I'd like to point out that this right here is a direct proportion. So this is the one that you are going to have to make note of. Just note that this is the only way you could get a direct proportion graph. I'll give you some names for the other ones just so you have some knowledge, but this is what we'll call exponential. And the reason why it's exponential is because the growth in these are kind of significant. And actually, the only way you could give a curve is by using exponents. So just fun fact, but it's when you have P is equal to Q squared usually. And the numbers, they get significantly bigger. Don't really need to know that right now, but the next one right here, this is not a direct proportion. It looks like it, but it's not. And this is what we will learn eventually as an inverse proportion. And the next one here, this is generally also an exponential, but we could also just say inverse exponential. For now, we're going to write it this way. In the future classes, you're probably going to learn that this will still just be an exponential, but then you're going to learn how to apply negatives into that as well. So it's going to make a little bit more sense then. So right now, we're going to keep it like this. So keep in mind that there's only one type of direct proportion. Direct proportion must be the ones that have straight lines, similar to what we've drawn earlier. All right, so now I'd like you to give a shot. It's going to ask you for a couple things. So keep in mind, we are going to draw out the direct proportion equation for the graphs in try. So I want you to do try on page 301. All right, so you're going to give that one a shot, see what comes out of it. Actually it goes 301 to 302. And that should leave us, that should prepare us for the independent practice that we will be working on tomorrow. So good luck, give that a shot, and see how you do.